The news is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon, Nail Spa and Barbershop, Tisley Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.
Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Whitley, has taken to the House of Assembly a motion for the official establishment of the Constitutional Review Commission.
Whereas by Resolution number 15 of 2020, hereinafter referred to as the resolution, the House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands approved the establishment and composition of the Constitutional Review Commission for the purpose of conducting a full review of the Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007, subject to specific terms of reference. Whereas the said resolution was made subject to Cabinet's decision to establish a Constitutional Review Commission comprising of 11 members, a chairperson, deputy chairperson, both of whom were to be selected by the Premier through Cabinet after consultation with members of the House of Assembly, and 6 other members to be nominated by the Premier, and 3 members to be selected by Her Majesty's loyal opposition and appointed by the Cabinet for the purpose of conducting a full review of the Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007.
The terms of reference of this commission as explained by Premier Whitley.
Whereas the said resolution further agreed based on Cabinet's agreement that the terms of reference of the Constitutional Review Commission should be as follows: to re-examine and re-evaluate the vision of the people of the Virgin Islands as expressed in the preamble to the Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007, and to amend accordingly the continuity of the political and constitutional development of the Virgin Islands. B, to evaluate the current Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007 and determine whether it advances or facilitates the desires of the people of the Virgin Islands in achieving the revised vision in item A. C, to identify any gaps in relation to item A above. D, to make recommendations for constitutional reform if necessary based on items A, B, C, or above. And E, to review the next step towards self-determination for the territory of the Virgin Islands.
He laid out the areas the Commission will focus on during the review.
Whereas Cabinet has further decided to update and expand the terms of reference to those presented by the Constitutional Review Commission and approved by the Governor and Premier to be reflected as follows: to reevaluate the vision of the people of the Virgin Islands as expressed in the preamble to the Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007 and to amend accordingly if necessary; to evaluate the current Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007 and determine whether it is in strategic fit to facilitate the people of the Virgin Islands in achieving the revised vision in item A and above; to identify any gaps in relation to item B above; to make recommendations for constitutional reform if necessary, including but not limited to considering the following: 1, how the executive ministerial government can be held to account in the House of Assembly, and how checks and balances and mechanisms for accountability may be employed to mitigate against abuse of power; whether the independent institutions enshrined in the Constitution are sufficient and effective to ensure good governance; the powers that need to be reserved to the Governor and how issues as to the exercise of devolved and reserved powers, respectively, when they arise, are to be resolved. A mechanism for the transfer of reserved powers to the devolved Virgin Islands government in the future, without a further change to the Constitution being required. Whether there should be a regime in relation to election expenses, whether statutory boards should be embedded in the Constitution, and if so, whether there should be a statutory boards commission, and if yes, its functions and responsibilities, whether the Speaker should continue to be a political appointment, or whether he or she, even if elected, should be independent of the political parties, whether Section 66 and 67 of the Constitution needs to be amended to make clearer the circumstances in which a person seeking election to the House of Assembly or member of the House of Assembly who, either personally or through a DBA, a partnership or company with which he or she is associated, contracts with the BVI government, needs to declare such an interest, how such a declaration should be made, and the consequences of a person not doing so. Whether Section 66 and 67 of the Constitution need to be amended to also apply to statutory and other public bodies. And what should be the proper relationship between ministers and their departments, and whether any amendments to Section 56 of the Constitution should be made. E, to review the next steps towards self-determination for the territory of the Virgin Islands. And F, to consider how best the law enforcement and justice agencies can sit within the constitutional framework.
Why a review of the Virgin Islands Constitution? Premier Whitley explains.
Based on our international obligations and the international obligations of the United Kingdom, we must advance from where we are. It's not a question. We talk about all of these international obligations that we have to keep. Well, this is one. We have an international obligation as outlined by the United Nations Charter that we must decolonize. And we have options in terms of what is considered a non-colonial status. And you can look around the Caribbean and see examples. Okay, you have associated statehood. Freedom to be able to associate with another nation. You can choose to associate with our administering power, or we can choose another state to associate ourselves with. Meaning we can associate with the United Kingdom, subject to the agreement of both parties, or we can choose a different state that we want to have a relationship with, where we define the terms of the relationship. It's mutually agreed. That is something that is an option for us. And we should always know what our rights and our options are under the United Nations Charter. But we also have independence, which is the one that most persons speak about when they speak about decolonization. You can become a free agent, so to speak, and establish relationships with multilateral organizations and establish relationships with bilateral relationships with nations, etc., as we so please. We would be independent and we'd be able to make all the decisions we wanted to make. And we'd be responsible for ourselves. And then you have integration, which exists in some of the French territories in the Caribbean, places like Guadeloupe, Martinique, where they are a part of France. They are extension of France. They have a representative that sits in the French Parliament. And of course, those are options which are available to us. But the point that I'm saying to you is that the status where we are now is not a status where we can stay. It's not a status that we want to stay in, and it's not a status that we are expected to stay in based on our international obligations. Now, what's supposed to move us there is this Constitution.
With this JTV News Update, Kathy Richards.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Freeze. Choose your mix. Choose your flavor.
Hey, you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
Rapid growth and reliance on digital systems has opened new vulnerabilities, and additional layers of cybersecurity are required to combat sophisticated cyber attacks. Simply Secure's security management solution helps overcome these challenges. Our service includes 24/7 protection for network devices, computers and servers with automatic restoration, security audits, and penetration testing. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Contact us today.